welcome to another episode of the More Than a Game podcast. I'm your host, Dan Walls, and I'm so glad you could join us once again for another episode of this podcast, whether you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching and listening. Well, this podcast is all about Australian basketball, and we're diving into the history and the story of Australian basketball, but also seeking to unearth key truths and life lessons through the stories that our guests share about their life story and their life journey as well. And today on the podcast, I'm joined by Sydney Kings star DJ Vasiljevic. DJ's already done so much in the sport. He's a product of the Australian Institute of Sport, and he's already represented the green and gold at a number of FIBA events in the junior ranks. He spent 4 years at the University of Miami, where he's averaged 13.2 points, 4.2 rebounds per game, and he actually set the record for the most three-pointers made by a freshman at the University of Miami. He was a member of the 2017 Emerging Boomers side, which attended the World University Games, who went on to win the bronze medal. And he's had such a great career so far. There's so much more to come for DJ, so it's a pleasure to have him on the podcast here today. DJ Vasiljevic, welcome to the More Than a Game podcast.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you, mate, and great to see you doing so well with the Kings up until your recent injury. Can you just let people know where you're up to? You ruptured your Achilles playing against the Perth Wildcats recently. How's it healing up?
Ruptured my Achilles. Kind of came a shock to me, but that's kind of the consequence you get of playing, sport. Injuries can happen at any stage, but I had surgery the following day on the Friday. Was in a cast for 10 days and just got into the boot on Monday. So I'm healing quicker than expected, and hopefully in about 4 or 5 weeks I'll be able to walk again.
Yeah, well, hopefully, mate, fingers crossed it all goes well for you. Obviously, we've seen you on the sidelines with the beanie on and cheering on the team. It's been awesome to see, mate. Just goes to show that, I guess, the closeness of the team, that you're still there on the sidelines, supporting the guys and helping out where you can. I saw you filling up a water bottle for your coach at him fall the other day too. So must be hard though, sitting there and watching the guys play.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you kind of get injured when the game's still going, you get kind of mad and wish you were out there. But anything I can do, cheering my teammates on the sideline, or as you say, filling up 40 drink bottle, or just giving some advice to the younger guys, or because I mean, I see it differently watching on the sideline from them playing. So just giving some sort of my input.
We'll come back to the Kings in just a second, but I'm keen to hear a bit about your story, mate, your background, your upbringing. I didn't realise this, but you're actually born in Canada and son to a Serbian father. Your dad was born in Serbia, so a lot of cultural background there. But can you tell us a bit about your upbringing? What was life like growing up in Canada, and when did you move to Australia?
I was born in Calgary, Canada. Moved to Australia at the age of 6. Don't really remember too much about Canada. The only thing is it's really cold and always cold, really. So, but we had a lot of good family friends over there. Obviously, my parents fled the war from former Yugoslavia to Canada to get away from it. And then in 2003, we decided to move to Australia and kind of just begin our new life here. And we've done really well, and we're all healthy. So that's the main important thing.
Absolutely, mates. Well, let's touch on the basketball career. When did you start playing, at what age, and what evoked that passion for the game of basketball for you?
What evoked it was my sister. Ivana, she picked up a basketball really young at the age of 6 when she went to school, and kind of just started playing from there. I was kind of mixing and matching kind of sports, obviously playing a bit of cricket, a bit of tennis, bit of AFL, and then obviously I ended up picking up soccer for a year to see how that was going, but didn't pan out for me, so I thought I'd give it basketball a crack. And when I moved to my sister's school with one of my best friends, we were like, why not give basketball a go and try and just play for the school? And we played domestically and just kind of kicked off there. I think I was about 11 or 12 years old when I did that.
Wow, so late bloomer. It's pretty late to pick up the ball, but obviously loved the game. At what point did you think I can make a career out of this, or at what point do you think things are starting to happen for me?
I think just through domestic. My dad realised that I kind of got a natural shot. The way I shoot the basketball, I got a natural feel for the game, and kind of tried out for a rep team at Werribee Devils, and didn't make any of that squads. Then I decided to kind of go to the Melbourne Tigers and made the 14-5s there. And I didn't really, I was still playing it for fun, and I didn't want to really do anything with it. But then I was bottom age 16s, got cut from the second side, and kind of contemplated whether the sport was for me or not. I was doubted a lot, and I was kind of upset. Dad was like, "Hey, let's kind of keep going." And then we met Nick Abdichich, who's the director of coaching at the Tigers now, and he kind of said, "Look, come to my training sessions. There's potential in you. We see it. We'll work with your dad, and we'll just go from there." And I think that's where I really said, "Oh, look, let's give this basketball thing a shot." And I kind of never looked back from there. So kind of full credit to Nick, but also my dad.
Yeah, that's awesome. I find in all the guests that I've spoken to and those who've been in the sport, particularly played the game, there's always a story of where they've been, I guess, cut from a team or haven't made a team, and they've had to overcome that adversity. Obviously, resilience is a big part of the sport. You're probably experiencing that right now with your injury. So what have you learned about resilience and the importance, I guess, of overcoming those obstacles when they're put in your way? And what have you learned from those times where you've had to push through and just keep going?
I think I learned it 3 years ago when I had a stress fracture in my left foot during college. It was during the NCAA game against Loyola Chicago. Kind of did the same thing, wanted to change direction, kind of had a little pop in my navicular bone, and sat out 3 months non-weight bearing because I went the non-surgical way, and kind of just had to be patient with myself. And the thing that made it kind of easy, there was no basketball going on because we just finished our last game for the season, and we had like 6 or 7 months before we'd start playing again. So kind of helped me, but going to team trainings and watching your team train, you just want to be out there. So just staying patient to myself, kind of learning more about myself, taking care of my body, nutrition wise. So that's the one thing I'm definitely going to take advantage of this time. Make sure I kind of stay around the same weight range, maybe 1 or 2 kilos up, just because I can't physically walk or run. So I'm just trying my best on that part.
Yeah, for sure. I guess within that, there's a lot of discipline that needs to take place, which you've spoken about. How hard is it to be disciplined like that and just, try and eat the right things, to stay in shape, particularly when you're injured?
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard because it's easy just to walk over to the pantry and kind of grab some chips or some snacks. But like, I'm lucky enough to have my dad, who's kind of been around food. He's a professor, researcher, scientist around food. So he's kind of helped me and kind of taken into my nutrition. Like there'll be times where I'm starving, but I plan out my meals throughout the day, so I know when I have that meal, I'll be all right. So, and then just drinking plenty of water. So having him around has helped a lot. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, it seems like you've got good people around you and supporting you evidently. So you mentioned college there. Let's talk a little bit about that. You played with the University of Miami, which isn't probably a college that many have heard of, but sounds like a good program, great system. How did that influence your game, being a part of that program, and how did it basically come about to play for the University of Miami?
I think college, I never thought about going to college until I was about year 11. Obviously, a lot of people don't understand basketball isn't like a forever thing. So, you can get hurt and kind of, one injury can kind of change your career dramatically. And I mean, I'm learning that now with this Achilles injury. So just, someone might do their ACL for a 3rd or 4th time and not be able to play again, and they're very young. So for me, it was all about having something to lean back on. And obviously I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from the University of Miami. And I mean, probably the best decision that I've had on that regard. And it was just, I just felt Miami was the right fit for me just because it was a guard-heavy system. They had a lot of great recruits like Bruce Brown, who still talks to me to this day. Asked about the NBL. We talk about the NBA, kind of give each other tips. So he's definitely a close brother of mine that I've kind of formed that relationship with. We've had Lonnie Walker come in, DeJuan Hernandez, Davon Reed. We've had a lot of guys who have been in the NBA and kind of just went with that of the guard-heavy system.
Yeah. Well, in your time there, I remember one of the guys I played with, Nate Tomlinson, played for the University of Colorado. He's just finished up coaching there, but you got to play against some incredible players over there. What were some of the top players that you played against? Is there any playing in the NBA at present? Or
obviously Bruce Brown's definitely one of them, but probably Jason Tatum at Duke. We had a couple guys, Justin Jackson from UNC. obviously Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter from University of Virginia. So, our Jerome Robinson, who went to Boston College. So we've had many guys come through that system. Through that conference, who are now in the NBA and doing really well for themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I guess for those who probably don't follow the college system I probably don't follow it as much as I used to, but you can definitely see the difference between, I guess, the NBL in Australia, other professional leagues around the world, and the college setup. Obviously, the NBA, you hear a lot of it being one out, and I guess the NBL is very structured in the way they play and the offenses and that sort of thing compared to the NBA. But what's the college system like? Is it a bit of one-out stuff, or is it pretty structured like the NBL? Or
I'd say it's more like the NBA. They all try to kind of manipulate the NBA system and play their style of the game. So, we play about 35 to 36 games in the college system, where the NBA is 82 and the NBL is just under 30. But it's definitely a way more structured system over here.
Yeah. So what are the differences you found between the two, playing college and then taking that leap?
I think just playing against guys who are much quicker and much more athletic than you in college, and that's where you kind of got to beat them mentally and kind of watch a lot of film and scout on your opponent, just because a lot of them, if you take away their strengths, it's easy to counter on their weaknesses, so they don't really have another go-to strength. So that's kind of what helped me throughout my college years.
Absolutely. So you had a great time at the University of Miami. As I said, you set the record for the most threes in your first year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Pretty awesome stuff. But as I looked at your game, when you were recruited by the Kings, I saw a bit of the footage of you playing, and you obviously a killer shooter. That's been evident in your time with the Kings. But what I was surprised by is your strength and your ability to get to the basket and make some shots for yourself that aren't just like, you're more than just a pure shooter, is what I'm trying to say. So how much have you been working on that aspect of your game, and who's been influential in helping you, I guess, grow in those skills?
Yeah, obviously, being notified as a pure shooter, kind of just watching Dražen Petrovic grow up, and the way he shot the ball and scored was kind of what I mentored myself around. But I think in college I took a step back regarding my offensive. I was kind of just parked in the corner at times and just known as a spot up shooter. And that's why I kind of signed with the Kings. There's also other reasons regarding COVID and stuff like that, but with Coach Ford, he just gave me a license to just be me, and he coached me at the university games, knew what I was capable of, and I think I've shown enough in the NBL that I'm more just than a pure shooter. So I watched a lot of clips on CJ McCollum and the way he just creates his shot, because he's on the side, is about my height too, playing that two-guard spot. So just being able to work on my craft every day and kind of just creating my own shot and kind of being able to make the big shots in the right place.
Yeah, it's awesome, mate. For me, definitely Rookie of the Year status. I reckon you're right up there from my point of view. But you mentioned Petkovic there, and was he a idol of yours growing up, or someone you looked up to, or who were the ones that you looked up to as a young kid?
Yeah, Dražen Petrovic, obviously he died at a very young age in a car accident, so he wasn't really able to showcase, but everyone knew he was on the way to be a Hall of Fame type shooter. And in my opinion, I think he could have been a better shooter than Steph Curry if he kept playing. So a lot of people don't realize that. So definitely mentored his game. But as I said, CJ McCollum as well. Came from a low school in Lehigh and kind of just surprised everyone the way he's been playing. And he's done great to keep himself in shape and kind of showcase that he's a superstar in the league.
Absolutely. Was there any Australian players you looked up to growing up in Australia?
Nah, not really. I mean, I do communicate back and forth with Shane Hill a little bit to kind of give me some advice, but other than that, not really.
Yeah, fair enough. Shane Hill was one of the guys I looked up to, and hopefully coming up in the podcast too. But as I mentioned, you did play for Australia, junior level, but you mentioned your dad and his background. So where's your identity, I guess, or where's your passion lie? Is it for Australia, or when you get to that next level of hopefully international basketball at a senior level, would it be Australia or maybe Serbia?
No, it's still going to be Australia, because FIBA has all these rules that if you represent Australia at the junior level, you can't represent any other country moving forward. So if I do represent anyone, it'll be Australia if I do get the chance. But obviously, Serbia is close to home, and so is Canada, because that's where I was born. So kind of a bit of a trilingual situation, but I hold everything close to heart.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Let's go into the Kings. Obviously signed with them at the beginning of this season. And again, as I said, had a great season so far. It's been pretty horrendous for the Kings. There's been a lot of injuries, including yourself now. But still fighting and doing so well, I reckon, to be where you guys are at. So obviously, hopefully some of those guys will come back soon. If you can share a bit about where you think they're at in terms of Angus Glover and Xavier Cooks coming back. But there's a bit of confidence around the place that you're at this level, even though you've had the injuries that you've had. And what's the next steps for you guys to take it to another level?
Yeah, I think both of them are about a month away. You'll probably see them sometime in May to kind of get those games in. They'll be on limited minutes, but they'll be able to come in and showcase what they have. And obviously, Jarrell and Casper are still around. And unfortunately, we lost Didi Lozada to the NBA, but a huge congrats to him. So shout out to Didi. But yeah, I mean, we'll be all right. We're still fighting it through, as you said, adversity. As long as we injured guys are there supporting the guys, they know that we still care and kind of know that, you know, our team can do great things even when they do come back. So I see the potential of my team still making the top four and potentially, you know, making a little finals run too. So I'm going to be there supporting them no matter what.
Absolutely. And is there any talk around new players coming in or to replace those at the moment, particularly Didi, who's moved on? So
I have no idea. This NBL season's kind of being out of whack a little bit. You know, players coming in, players going out, players changing teams midway through the season. So nothing that I've heard of. I'll definitely find out when you find out either on Twitter or whoever releases it first. So
yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned Didi there, signed with the New Orleans Pelicans. It's not a big loss, but also for him, obviously, to make that step. I guess any player has aspirations of playing in the NBA, and I'm guessing you're no different. I'm guessing first and foremost that's a goal of yours, but what have you heard from people that are close to you about taking that step and what you need to improve upon to that jump?
Obviously, I've always had to improve on the defensive end and kind of showcase I was more than just a shooter. So I think I've done both really well this season. And I think I've definitely showcased that I'm one of the kind of stars in the league. I don't really like to call myself a star, but one of the best players in the league. And even as a rookie, I've been able to do that. But unfortunately, this Achilles injury has put my NBA dream off for another year. So I just got to stay positive and just come back healthy and showcase that I can still play and be the guy I was before my injury.
Yeah, for sure. So cool to hear, mate, and all the best for that goal. And around those aspirations, I guess something that I've touched on with other guests is around goal setting. And I think as I've spoken to other guests and other people around the sport, any professional athlete, goal setting is so important in terms of your career and when you want to head, not just for an athlete, but I guess for people in general. So first and foremost, for me, it gives you a sense of purpose. But, you know, if you don't hit those goals, it builds resilience and you fight through that adversity. So has that been part of your process, setting goals and sort of working towards those goals over time?
Yeah, obviously the main goal is the NBA, so that's like the long-term goal, but you just try to kind of set yourself goals each and every day. And obviously now it's me getting healthy. That's the number one goal, but I'm also trying to do good things off the court and obviously starting my own clothing brand, 3J by DJ. Just kind of see if that can get going and obviously try to run a school holiday camp when I can walk and kind of just be with the kids and kind of inspire the next generation coming up and give them my experience and some advice regarding that. So those are little goals I set for myself, but number one right now is try to get healthy and get back on the court.
Yeah, 100%, mate. In those ways of goal setting, I remember you mentioned Shane Healy spoke about years ago when I heard him speak around hard work and discipline, which we spoke about, that he would say he probably got about 200-300 shots up at least a day in order to improve his shot and get better at it. So for the younger listeners or people watching, I guess, the up-and-coming players, that's sort of the level you got to get at in terms of your hard work and your work ethic. So for you growing up, obviously that's been part of your game. What instilled in you that sense of, I guess, hard work and work ethic to get to where you are today?
I mean, I was kind of the same as Shane Hill. My goal was, make 500 shots a day outside of training. So whatever session I had, I don't include that. And then I just kind of create my own shooting drills, kind of my own workouts until I made 500 a day. And that ended up increasing to 1,000 a day when I kind of got really serious with it. And then it ended up being, I think it was 1,500 a day when I was at the Institute. So, being at the institute gave me more flexibility regarding school because I was only in school for about 3 or 4 hours a day. So I had a lot of free time to kind of go and shoot, work out, and do other extra things other than training.
Absolutely. Just touching on the institute there, because again, a lot of the guests have come through the institute. What was that experience like being part of that system, and obviously the pinnacle for young up-and-coming athletes in Australia? What's that system like, and how's it evolved over your time in the sport?
I think it's evolved a lot now ever since I left. It's been, I think, 4 or 5 years now since I've left. So kind of they've done a great job in bringing in the NBA Global Academy as well, and bringing in talent from across the world to kind of train against one another. But yeah, when I was there, I kind of formed these relationships, and we went against the 12 best players in the country at that time. And obviously now they're in the NBA with Xavier Cooks, Jack McVeigh, Tanner Krebs, like all those guys I went to the AIS with, and kind of just formed that relationship. We've kept in touch ever since then, but I'm just glad those guys are hooping, and man, it was one hell of an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Who were some of the other guys that was in your team? Any more NBL or?
No, we had myself, Isaac Humphries, Jack White, Will Magnay, Harry Froling, Tom Wilson, who plays AFL now. We had Jock Perry, Tom Fullerton, who plays AFL now. Obviously, I mentioned Tanner, mentioned Jack McVeigh, Georgia Blagojevich, but with the Cairns Taipans right now. So a lot of guys have come in and out through the AIS, and most of them are in the NBL now or playing AFL.
Yeah, that's it. There's a few doing that. So, yeah, it's good to see the program's obviously working and bringing these players through and onto bigger and better careers. So, just finally, as we finish up, obviously this is called the More Than the Game podcast. And for me, I think as I played the sport, as I've listened to other stories and talked to other people, they've learned a lot about life to take to the next part of their career post-playing. I guess for myself, I've learned a lot about hard work, discipline, and applied that to my context now and my workplace now. But is anything that you sort of, I guess you're still young, got a long way to go, but and you probably haven't thought about post-career yet, but is there anything that you've sort of taken away from your playing days so far that you feel will be helpful for you when you do finish playing and making that transition?
I mean, basketball has blessed me enough to travel the world, so kind of just to see different types of cultures and the way different kind of countries play and different styles. But my takeaway would be just the relationships you form, in a different country, in a different state, or just when you play against other people multiple times, you just kind of form that relationship, and it kind of lasts for a long time. So once basketball is done, I'm definitely going to have a lot of catch-ups with a lot of people, and we'll definitely talk. My life after basketball when I'm closer, but hopefully become a trainer and have my own facility and kind of just give back to the community, give people the opportunity to work out and just have a place to work out really without being charged a hefty fee or stuff like that. So just giving back.
Yeah, it's awesome, mate. Well, thanks for your time today, mate. It's great to hear your story and some of which where you've come from, where you're going and your plans and your goals, but all the best for the recovery, mate, and hopefully see you on the court sometime soon.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.